Thank you very much. I would like to turn this over to Cynthia Wang, who's going to show you and explain how the world's most valuable industry is leveraging drone technology. Thanks.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure today to talk to you all about the oil and gas industry, a 160-year-old industry that impacts each and every single one of us on a daily basis. The oil and gas industry today consists of over 200 companies worldwide, including giant corporations that most of us are familiar with, like Shell, Marathon, or ExxonMobil. This industry contributes an estimated $75 trillion to the global GDP, and by dollar value is the largest industry in the world. Here in the US, it is the fastest growing industry and supports over 10 million jobs while contributing to about 8% of the US economy. Thanks to this rapid growth, the US has become the world leader in oil and gas output. But despite the rapid growth and progress, the inherent dangers of the oil and gas industry still exist today. Workers of the oil and gas industry are often subjected to dangerous equipment, volatile gases, and flammable liquids. In light of both the rapid growth and the inherent dangers, the oil and gas industry has collectively prioritized a culture of safety across all operational segments. Deborah Phillips from the American Petroleum Institute said earlier this year that safety has always been paramount to the natural gas and oil industry, incorporating advanced technologies, materials, and practices as they strive towards their industry-wide goal of zero incidents. Because of this culture, oil and gas companies are aligning with DJI to adopt and scale new UAS-based workflows that will immediately and permanently reduce hazardous man-hours, while also improving the efficiency and quality of data collection for inspection and disaster response purposes. This past year, our close collaboration with half a dozen of the world's largest and most forward-thinking companies have shed light on the growing impact of drones, and we have heard incredible accounts of how drones have aided in disaster response, reduced hazardous man-hours, decreased costly downtimes during inspections, and improved the quality and consistency of data collected, leading to better and faster insights that actively empower and feed back into a culture of safety. As we continue to work with the oil and gas industry, we are working hand in hand with industry leaders to comprehensively improve the complete workflow. From platforms and sensors to data security and management to industry best practices. As mentioned earlier by Jan and Brendan, DJI has historically led in advancing safety features for drone platforms. These safety features directly feed into the safety-first culture of the oil and gas industry, and we continue to align with our partners to enhance future product development. And as the oil and gas industry increases their adoption of drone technology, we recognize the industry's need for more advanced data, and so we continue to support the development and integration of more specialized sensors, such as thermal and gas detection. And through our collaboration with industry leaders, we are working to provide complete end-to-end solutions for secure and efficient data management. This will in turn help our end users more seamlessly integrate drone technology into existing workflows. And ultimately, we envision a future where the use of drones to reduce hazardous man-hours in oil and gas is both an obvious and scalable step forward. We believe that working with industry leaders to define and implement industry best practices is a crucial foundational step in educating and empowering the entire industry to effectively and responsibly integrate drone technologies into their operations. With that in mind, it is my pleasure to share that our next two speakers are from the American Petroleum Institute and Marathon Petroleum. We're pleased to welcome these two industry leaders to the stage to share more on their insights on best practices and also the impact of drones that they see in the oil and gas industry today. So to start, please join me in welcoming Suzanne Lemieux from the American Petroleum Institute. She's the manager of Midstream and Industry Operations.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again at AirWorks. So again, Suzanne Lemieux with the American Petroleum Institute. I'm a manager in our Midstream and Industry Operations group, which I'm just going to give an overview about who API is, what we do, the challenging landscape that we see for drone adoption, but the incredible opportunities we see in the oil and gas industry, and then some of the priorities that we have today and that we'll have moving into the future as regulations change, technology advances, and we see more applications across our supply chain. So who is API? We are a trade association representing the breadth of the oil and gas industry, from upstream through midstream through downstream. We've just had our 100-year anniversary, and we have been a standard-setting organization for the oil and gas industry worldwide since 1919. We have over 700 technical standards, over 300 incorporated by regulation, which for us is an incredible way that we advance safety collectively in our industry. Those standards are consensus-based. They include regulators, interested stakeholders, member companies, non-member companies, and others who can contribute to the technical and safety requirements that are necessary to operate oil and gas safely and efficiently across the world. So we are accredited by the American National Standards Institute, which gives us a very rigorous process, which is audited, that allows us to have a lot of confidence in the standards that we're creating as an industry, and also provides our regulators with confidence in that process. So it's really all about creating safe standards that everyone can adopt. We like performance-based, not prescriptive standards. So these are really about guidelines for doing things that improve the safety of the oil and gas industry. As Cynthia mentioned, safety is our #1 priority. These are complicated industrial operations with flammable liquids, flammable gases, caustic chemicals. So safety is all we're focused on in order to deliver these products to the American people. Some of the primary activities that we have are, again, standards, plus policy development. So what I have, why I'm here, is I staff our UAS policy working group. So we brought together members who are interested in and using drones in their operations, or looking forward to using drones in their operations, to make sure that we are working with our regulators, working with Congress to pass regulations and legislation that advances the opportunities within our industry. So we've partnered with organizations in the commercial drone space. I'm on the UAST. We've worked with AVSI, with DJI, and others to make sure that collectively all of these solutions are useful for our customers, our members. Because in the end, it's really about how you can use it safely and the data you get back and the value it provides. And so it is a collective effort. We do have a pretty large membership at API. We have over 625 members, from large integrated companies such as ExxonMobil or BP, down to small service and supply companies that might be hauling water or sand out in an oil basin. So it's a lot of diverse interests, but collectively we're all working towards that same goal of safety. So these, a little bit of an eye chart, and they're on our website. These are our models of our oil and natural gas supply chains. Oil on the top and gas on the bottom. In our industry, upstream is that left-hand piece of identification and exploration, how we find the oil and extract it. Then we move into the midstream space, which is transportation, which includes rail, pipeline, marine transportation, and trucking. Then we move it on to either a processing facility or a refinery. That's the downstream, which is things you're probably all familiar with. Refineries are extremely large industrial complexes. There's a lot of opportunities there that we see for drone application because of the complicated nature of those operations. And then delivery to the end user, which is probably the most critical part of the supply chain because it doesn't have a value if it can't be used. So the opportunities that we see are pretty vast across all those different segments. Whether it's inspecting an offshore oil platform, traditionally you would put someone in a harness and he would, I wouldn't say jump over the side, that's probably not the technical term, but to do an inspect the parts of the platform that are not accessible from the top. That obviously is personnel safety risk. If you can use an alternative means that doesn't involve a human in that kind of scenario, that's a great win, probably a good return on investment, but certainly a great safety case. In the midstream, what we aren't able to do now or do in very limited applications is pipeline right-of-way inspections, which are required under law, but currently done in a fixed wing or a helicopter with a pilot looking down at the right-of-way. Not the most efficient way to do it, not the best way to do data collection, of course, but without BV loss, the real return on investment is a little far off in how we're able to do that efficiently and at low cost. And then in the downstream, as I said, at a refiner, if you have to do a flare stack inspection, you typically have to shut down that operation. A person has to climb up the stack to do the visual inspection. With a drone, you can do a thermal inspection and never have to shut down that operation unless you detect a problem. So those are just a few. We also see significant opportunities in emergency response. As we saw in the response to Harvey, which affected our member company's headquarters in Houston, as well as a lot of operations along the Houston Ship Channel, drones were let in almost right away by the FAA. Surveys were done when waters were still, hadn't receded, and it really saved a tremendous amount of time to assess some of those assets. So there's a lot of different things we see where we have a lot of interest across our membership. So in that membership, we also see a lot of diversity in the sophistication of the programs that they have today. Some are advanced, some have had traditional aviation units, some are still starting to look at what is the opportunity, the ROI, the safety case, and the risk. So what we've done as a group was to create a guide for developing a program in the oil and gas industry. So this just sets kind of a baseline of expectation of what companies should be doing, or if you're trying to sell to one of our member companies, the expectation they might have of your operations. Do you have SOPs? Do you have contingency plans? Have you done a risk assessment? Do you have risk mitigation? What kind of program is it? Is it internal, external, hybrid? All the things that should be considered as you start to look at developing a program or even enhancing your current program. These are things that different members have learned from other members, and we've put it all in one place as a good, succinct plan. And it's available for free on our website. The link is at the end of the presentation, but you can feel free to ask me for it. And as I said, the audience is really not just our members, but people operating in the commercial space who are wanting to engage in the oil and gas industry and may not have familiarity with the safety culture in our industry, safety management systems, and just overall risk tolerance. So, moving forward, what are our current priorities? As if with everyone else, remote ID, UTM, BV loss, operations over people, I think everyone in the room can agree that these are the policies that need to unlock really full commercial integration of UAS in different operations around the world. But in the US, obviously, as the American Petroleum Institute, we're focused on Congress and the FAA. In the future, we are looking for long-range flights, not just over pipelines, but in some of the shale plays, such as the Permian in West Texas, which is extremely large. You can remove a lot of hazards to people. One of the biggest hazards that we've seen in an area like the Permian is driving hours. So if you can take those personnel off the road and use a drone instead, you're getting better data, better efficiency, and you're, again, reducing risk. High-quality sensors still need to be developed for some of the technical applications we have with different gases and emissions and leaks as we try and improve our environmental footprint. Standardized data sets for specific applications. We've seen that there's some challenges receiving data from some of the drones. Is it useful in the way it's received? Has it been processed correctly? Is it in the format that you've traditionally used to do those assessments? So just some advances in technology. We become the world's leader in oil and gas production through technological advancement and efficiency, and so we see drones contributing to that in the long run. And with that, I will hand it over to Greg Aldrich with Marathon Pipeline, who is the UAS process leader. Everyone give a hand to Greg.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Aldrich with Marathon Pipeline. I don't know about you folks, but after I saw the Lego drone, I went ahead and hopped on Amazon. I ordered one for my kid. I really want her to put that together. So I'm going to talk about how we build an enterprise drone program in Marathon Pipeline. We're a part of Marathon Petroleum Company, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what our company does. We started as the Ohio Oil Company in 1887, so we've been around well over 100 years. As of today, we have 16 refineries in the U.S., which means we're the largest refiner in the U.S., including 2 refineries in California, one in L.A. and another up north in Martinez. Marathon Pipeline has over 7,000 miles of pipeline, regulated pipeline, that in addition to rail cars, marine barges to move products and crude oil up and down our nation's waterways, and products terminals where transports, big trucks, pick up products to deliver to gas stations and other users. This is all to bring energy to the consumer in the safest, most efficient way possible. I'm going to move on to how we started our drone program. In pipeline, drone usage really started as a grassroots movement with simple, high-impact missions. We started with one drone and one pilot. That was me, by the way. Just trying to find ways that we were able to improve the way that we handled our business. So if there was an incident, an inspection where we were, for example, running a helicopter, we might be able to replace that with a drone and one, save money and keep people out of harm's way by keeping them from having to be up in a helicopter and taking pictures out the window with their iPhone, right? Today, we now have 32 technician pilots and 33 aircraft. We started out with those, we started with the off-the-shelf models, a Phantom 4, again, one pilot and one drone to execute those simple missions. The goal has always been to extract real value from the drones, and we did that by making the drone just another tool in the toolbox. So we don't have any full-time pilots. We have technicians that we've given them another tool to help them in doing their jobs. Once a technician is fully trained and ready to go, there's no need for them to request special company permission to fly. They just grab that tool from their truck and they go and complete their jobs. They have the knowledge and the tools to use the drones to help them to do their job safer and faster than ever before. We created an internal training program in order to get our technicians ready to go. Once we realized the impact drones would have in our operations, we knew we would need to start scaling up. Starting with training, we developed our own class to show our new pilots how to operate their drone, not only within the regulations, but also according to Marathon's requirements. At the end of a basic course, students have been performance verified and they're ready to go out and independently fly a drone safely. We have a flight operations manual. Our pilots get started based on that training, and then during their ongoing missions, they can refer to an operations manual to tell them exactly what Marathon requires of them. This has become a standard document that we base all of our operations throughout our organization on. Things like what checklists to follow at what time and what to do in an emergency are contained inside our operations manual. And these documents that we've been creating are becoming a part of our company standards. So as you know, drones are really a relatively new thing happening, and as we write these documents, whatever documents you're creating in your organization today, it's likely that they will become your organization standards later on because they don't exist yet. You are starting exactly what's going to be the future. I'm going to tell you about a use case for drones in refining. As Suzanne mentioned, flares are used in refineries, and they're a safety device in an operational unit. So anytime the refinery is in operation, the flare must be working properly. What that means is if we have an indication of a problem with a flare, we must inspect it to determine the integrity of that flare for the safety of our people. Did the video play? Yes, the video played. Good. This is a thermal video of a flare. And in this situation, there was a problem with the indication of a pilot light operation. So if you're familiar with a pilot light, it starts the fire in case you put a fuel to it. So we had an indication of a problem that 2 out of the 3 of the pilots were not working on this flare. And in the past, we would have had to take down the entire unit, and that takes a couple days. It's not a quick operation. and then we would have to inspect it by putting a person in a basket hanging from a crane and hoist them up to take a look at that flare. And then after that, we can re-energize, which takes a couple more days and huge amounts of energy to bring everything back up to temperature. And using a thermal camera, we're able to look at this video and determine that all 3 flares were operational without having to do any of that. Let's go ahead and go on to Cynthia, and she'll finish up.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Suzanne, and thank you, everyone, for being part of AirWorks 2019. We are truly honored to provide this forum for all of us to connect, and we hope you're all inspired to continue to push together to advance and grow this industry. We still have a ton of amazing sessions and panels throughout the rest of today and tomorrow, so please continue to network and learn, and know that each and every single one of you are contributing to the future continued progress and impact of drones in our world. Thank you.